Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
Man, I tell you what, I have been dying to get back because we had Cameron Gibson in with us last time. He's a school counselor and a licensed professional counselor talking about cell phones and mental health for kids. Cameron, thanks for coming back.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah. Glad to be back in the place to be, man. It was super enjoyable last time. Enjoyed talking to y'all.
Well, it's amazing how time flies when you're having fun, and I don't know if this was fun, but it flew last time. So, again, thank you for making time to come back and visit with us.
I appreciate that. Last time we had some, practical advice for the parents about their kids and themselves about how they might limit and cut back on the social media or cell phone use itself to kind of help them out. Really kind of generic advice of lots of people in their own specific situations, but any little bit helps.
Right. So, well, we did an episode a while back where we were talking about chores. I don't know if you remember that one.
That was
May
or something.
One of the things that we were talking about with that one, is here's a chore list for child or children to do. And growing up, it was mine was tied sometimes to money. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted, you did these chores, you got this much money. But you do extra, you wanted more money, you do more chores. Would that work for screen time? Do you think that if you were, kids want screen time, great. You're going to take the trash out. All right. You take the trash out to the trash can by the curb, and that's 5 minutes of screen time. You run the vacuum sweeper. You do the dishes. You get screen time. Yeah. Do you think that, because you mentioned last time about creating boundaries, creating ways for mom and dad to enforce helping the kids, whether it's playing video games or their Xbox, PlayStation, or on their phones or mobile device, whatever. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think that is very plausible, and I feel like it can be effective. Again, the biggest thing is just being consistent with that. So like, hey, if you did X, Y, and Z chore and you earn 5 minutes, as the parent, only give them 5 minutes, because, even with high school kids, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile if you allow them to.
Yeah.
And I know absolutely. For me, similar situation, I didn't get like a ton of money for my chores, because like a lot of them was just like, hey, you clean your room. Like, this is your room. Like, you're responsible for that. But the extra stuff, like, hey, we had dinner tonight. If you wash the dishes, then you can go outside, play in the backyard or whatever like that. Sometimes it was tied to money if I was like cutting the grass and other big chores and stuff like that. So I definitely think it will be effective. It's just a matter of, again, keeping that consistency. Because for me, it was video games. Like, I love playing video games, but I wasn't one to like sit in the house and play video games all day. I love going outside, playing basketball, different sports like that. So it was used as like a consequence and as a sense of reward. Like, hey, your room's not clean, you can't go outside. Or, hey, you cleaned your room, now you can go outside. So using it as a way to kind of motivate, I definitely think it can be useful, because at the end of the day, screen time should be a privilege. Like, you shouldn't just feel like you're entitled just because you have a tablet or just because you have a phone to feel like, I can be on this all day long. It should be a privilege, and you should be able to earn that. But again, if that consistency is not there with that, then all of that falls through anyway.
I think like with a lot of parenting, it has to be proportional, right? Like, you have to, you don't want to give somebody $100 for doing the dishes, right? Or whatever. Like,
if you do,
man, thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll come over and do your dishes
right now.
I'd be happy to do it for that kind of money, but because I do mine for free, right? Because nobody else is going to do them,
right?
But I think a lot of parents tend to have disproportionate things that they say, and they can't back it up, or they can't follow through on it. And you want to be able to follow through on, if you're going to be like, you need to clean up your room, or I'm going to throw away all your stuff. Like, you're probably not going to do that. Yeah. So you probably shouldn't say that, because then they catch you in the lie of like, well, you really don't follow through with what you say, so now I don't have to do anything that you say. Whereas on the flip side, you don't want them expecting large rewards for things that aren't quite that big.
Yeah, definitely something I still struggle with as a parent too, with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh yeah,
like, hey, stop jumping on the couch, or else you're going to your room. Okay, you jumped on the couch.
I will say it gets easier, right? Like my youngest is 25 this year, and my oldest is 32. So much easier when they're older. Different set of problems.
Yeah. I'll stick with the 5.
But they're not jumping on my couch, so enjoy it while you can, because it will change.
Yeah.
If they are at 25, we got another fun topic we could come back to. But hey,
another day.
Well, one of the things, again, little kids, we get the tablets, and you're right. You mentioned last time when we were together about going out to dinner, and you see families where one kid's on a tablet, one kid's on a phone, and mom and dad are on their phone. Mm. And it's kind of like, to me, I always argue, why are you out to dinner? This is a time, maybe it's just me, but I grew up, dinner time was family time. You would sit, you would visit, you would socialize. Mm. And if you're in a family setting, especially, eating at a sit-down restaurant, like Chili's or whatever, take the time. Take some opportunities to visit. And sometimes it just feels, because I see that too. Mm-hmm. When my wife and I are going out to dinner, and I sometimes tease her, why are you on your phone? Am I that boring? But put all that away. Can we have a little bit of time? And I think trying to find a balance, like you were saying before, a balance between screen time and non-screen time is got to be something we got to strive for. And, with parents in school, in a partnership, raising kids, because that's kind of what we do. Yeah. I would love to see, more limits on what we allow here for screen time. And if we can get moms and dads to kind of more buy into that, it makes me wonder how that might change the narrative between the fights between parents, kids, and schools. I don't know. Or at least it just feels like there's a constant battle.
Well, I think that, one of the good things I, saw years ago with people at restaurants is, just everybody put your phone in the middle of the table, like just make a stack and nobody can touch it while we're here. I've seen people still do that in restaurants, right?
Really?
And then talk. Yeah, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Most people just sit down and start looking at their phones, right? I don't do that anymore. It's my wife and I, so we just don't look at a phone while we're at the table. I do have my, Apple Watch that will give me alerts. So like if it's my daughter got in a car crash or something, like I can see that. Mm-hmm. And yes, then I will look at my phone. But, that's a different scenario.
Yeah. And I definitely feel like it comes with a level of intentionality too. And especially once you have kids involved, like kids are inquisitive, so they want to know why to pretty much every single thing that there is possible. So
it is the great question.
It's the great question, and I'm still dealing with my little 5-year-old. Daddy, why is there a street right here? Why is there a road called? I honestly don't know.
That's your opportunity to teach civil engineering.
I'm gonna send them to somebody else for all of that. But I definitely feel like having those conversations about why you're doing certain things can help as well with, setting limits, setting boundaries so that they are able to understand. Now, again, at the end of the day, it may just be, hey, because I'm the adult and I said so. Like sometimes that answer is enough. But I also feel like kids being able to have the buy-in when they understand, like, hey, we're not having screen time right now because I want us to sit down as a family and talk about how our days are, because if you tell me how your day is going, I can tell you how my day is going, and we can have a conversation around that and, build relationships with one another. Because a lot of times we throw the tablet and we throw the phone as like the babysitter. And I feel like I've done that a lot as a parent, where it's like, hey, we're riding in a car and hey, here's your tablet. Okay, don't talk. We're going to listen to music, whatever. Here's the tablet. And trying to be more intentional, just as an, opinion.
Instead of saying, are we there yet? Just pull up Google Maps and then you'll know.
And then you can find it. You can look at those numbers and tell me how far away we are. But, I've had to be a little bit more intentional with that as well. So like with my kids, when I drive them to school, throughout the week, Monday through Thursday, we're simply listening to music, or we're talking, we're playing games in the car, anything like that. And then on Fridays, those are the days where I'm a little bit lazier on those Fridays. So maybe I'll like show them like a TV show or something like that while we're riding. But again, being intentional. Monday through Thursdays, we're talking. Tell me what you're excited about. Here's a song. Let's sing along. Different things like that. So again, intentionality is super important. And then having that buy-in. Like, hey guys, like my kids know Monday through Thursday, we're not watching anything in the car. At least with me. Like now when we get with my wife and like we're going on a long trip or something throughout the week, then sure. Cause me and wife want to talk about how our days were because as a counselor, there's not much downtime that I have to be like, hey, how was your day? Oh, this is what's going on here. I may get 2 to 3 text messages between me and my wife on a daily basis. So that time in the car, that's when we spend talking and we don't want to be not bothered with my kids, but interrupted.
It's got to be hard, right? Like my kids are older. And so like I wasn't raising them at the time when cell phones were a big deal, right? I mean, the conversation in my car was, he's looking out my window. Right. Like, and it's like, I can't, he can look whichever direction he wants while we're in the car. So I don't know what we're doing here, but I mean, those are the kind. It wasn't. I couldn't just be like, "Oh, well, look at this tablet," right?
Would
they
you
didn't
stop
exist.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of, when are we there yet? How long before we get there? Well, if you stop talking to me, I can probably drive and we'll get there faster and safer, right?
Well, but I think your comment, and I hear this a lot, is. And as parents, when you come home, you've been working for, 8.5, 9 hours. And then, of course, your 30-minute commute and you're picking up the kids and you're tired. And, man, we got to deal with dinner or we got to hurry up because we got to get you to this event or that activity. And so you're constantly running. And as mom and dad, it is so easy, I think, to become so stressed out. And all I want is 10 minutes of freaking peace and quiet. Would you please shut the heck up? And boom, here. And so, but then I argue, did we create the problem of our stress, of carting our children all over the place because we've got them in so many things? And so it's a big deal. And I mean, I'm with you. When Eric was a little, we would, there would be times and I would say, here, watch here. Well, I guess Lion King, we went through 3 VHS copies before we got a DVD copy. But we would watch it. But at the same time, I would also try and, let's put together a puzzle. Or let's play with Legos. Or let's play with Tinker Toys. Or play with our Hot Wheels or, cars and stuff like that. So that way it was on, but it wasn't I'm glued to it. And that kind of worked. But you're right. There were times where I would put on Farmville on Facebook and let him play on my computer, and I would roll over and get a 30-minute nap.
I was so good at Farmville. And then they got rid of it. But you're right. Like, I think the intentionality, though, that you were talking about is what we're talking about here. I mean, you have to be intentional about it, no matter what it is.
Right.
Right. I mean, it would be great, I guess. I mean, I don't think it would be great. People like to think about, well, what if we simpler times, right? Earlier, it wasn't simpler, right? There was just different problems, right? But like, you talk about like kids being carted around and going to all the things. Well, we're not like in a Jeffersonian agrarian society anymore where you can be like, get out there at 4 a.m. and milk those cows, right? and work the fields and do the things. And so, we have downtime. We have other things. So in any kind of sedentary society, you got to like get out there and do other stuff to get movement. And so I think that's part of it. Like we live in a city, we live in an urban area where in order to do things, you have to kind of get out there and intentionally do it. And so I think that's probably why parents schedule those, in part to keep them from chasing them into the bathroom. Right. If I can get them into a sport, at least they're over there with the coach, and that's the coach's problem for a little bit while I can go, get a drink at the local coffee shop.
And hopefully they get tired out, and then by the time it's time to go to bed, they're knocked out. But I've learned the hard way that it works. It works for some kids, and then it doesn't work for the other kids. And it just hypes my son up to, I had a basketball game. Cool. I don't need a nap today. What? That does not equate to each other. But it's crazy.
Well, you bring that up, and so here's another issue that I've heard from my sister, who has commented, well, she used to berate me all the time because she would text her daughters in high school. And I'm going, in my classroom, your phone's getting picked up. When I first started here at this high school, we had a zero cell phone policy. And if your phone got picked up by a teacher, you had to pay $15 to get it back. And so I would tell my sister, well, that would cost $15. She goes, oh, you're so draconian on that. And I'm going, okay, but why are you texting your daughters? You know, when we were in school, mom would call the school. The school would take the message. The message would be sent to us via an office aid, and voila, the information got to us. What is so important that you can't follow that same model? Because I said every school has a telephone in the room, and we still have teachers' aides and office aides and all of that. So why not do that?
Yeah.
And so it got me thinking, and I ran across an article. There was a school shooting a little before Christmas in Wisconsin, and they were bringing up the issue of cell phones. And they were talking about, well, okay, having the kid's cell phone, I can text the kid or the kids can text me, hey, I'm safe and all is well. And I, as a parent, am not panicking. And so from that respect, I go, oh, that's not a bad idea. But yet, just today in class, I had a kid. Well, my mom was texting me. Congratulations, your mom just got your phone confiscated. And so, I mean, finding that balance, but I find it interesting, you know, the idea that in the case of a school emergency, we had a bomb scare here a while back. Well, it's been a number of years now. But again, being able to have your phone. We had, in the science lab, one of the science labs blew up. And so they had to evacuate the school, and kids they had to leave their bags in the classroom, and that included in some cases phones. And wow, did that create a massive brouhaha. And so I don't know. I question.
I think part of it is just in the course of a day-to-day thing. You said that, you know, a mom was texting their child. I mean, I value my time. As a parent, I got a lot of things to do, and picking up the phone, you know, using my cell phone to actually call a phone number, you know, that's not in my contacts, is probably pretty difficult. And when I call the school and then I get put on hold and then I have to wait and then I get a message out to them and then it takes a bunch of time. Maybe I just don't have that kind of time. Yeah. It's just so much easier. In every other situation, I would just text my kid. And so I don't think it's necessarily that they're like, I'm more important than the class that they're in. That's just what we do now, right? Yeah. We just text people. And so they're just not thinking about it. Now, whether they intend their kid to look at it in your class or whether they just think that they're going to look at it later when the class is over or, you know, when they have time is another question. Yeah. I don't know.
I just feel like it's a lot of levels to that too, because on the one hand, like you're saying, like, yes, you know, if I just need to know, like, hey, did you get your lunch today? That's a quick text message. I don't want to have to call up to the school, have to figure out what class they're in, all of the different things. That's a quick, yes, I got my lunch today. But at the same token, that's not always the case with kids. Like, yes, I was texting my mom, but I was also texting X, Y, and Z. And I was also checking Instagram. I had that FOMO situation. So it's just a lot of different levels to it. And because we've already opened up this Pandora's box of it, you can't have one without the other. Like, there's no way to say, like, hey, you can text your mom right now without having Joey over here saying, oh, he said I could text my mom, but it's actually my best friend who is actually staying at our house. And it's just so many different
It's kind of a new normal that we haven't really had a chance to put the norms around, like societal norms around.
I like that.
I think, right? We just expect that we can text somebody and at any point in time. Now, will they always respond to us right away? Maybe not. And that's fine. That's acceptable. Yeah. For most people, some people are like, "Why aren't you getting back to me?"
Yeah. Which is another thing that I'm dealing with.
That's another anxiety driven thing, right? That's probably some kind of other issue. But I can text somebody, and if they, my wife. I mean, I could text my wife, and she won't respond to me for hours, and that's fine, right? Like I know her. I know that's how it is. She's busy. I don't think that she just doesn't want to pay attention to me. I mean, so we've been married long enough. I already know that she doesn't want to pay attention to me. I mean, But that's our new normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kids know how to do normal a lot less than adults often do.
Mhm.
So
It's a lot different for them. Cause you do have the kids who are like, my phone went off. I have to check this right now. For me, if my phone goes off. Well, I'm busy. I don't need notification.
My phone's always silent.
Yeah,
so
mine's
never
silent too.
goes
The
off.
only time that it goes off is on the Apple Watch. But
So-
I don't remember. I can't even tell you what my ringtone or text
I don't have
tone
one.
is right now.
Ooh, now that you say that, I don't know what my phone, because you're right, my phone has been on silent for as long as I've had the phone.
Yeah,
Now, different people might have a ringtone, so when I'm driving in my truck and it goes off, I can hear their
Who it is,
ringtone.
yeah. Mhm.
But yeah, you bring that up, it is my watch.
Mhm.
I get the notification of a text or an email, and a quick okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't need to do anything with that right now. Yeah.
Or I'll deal with it later.
I
Or
got plenty of noise in my life. I don't need that noise too.
Yeah, it's all white noise to me with the kids at this point. Just constant.
But I think that the intentionality we've talked about, the idea from the last episode of trying to limit some time on it, find ways to limit it or control it, put it into some kind of a framework where the kids learn the rules of like how to use the phone and where to use it. I think that's important. And I think part of that is just learning at school how to use it. Now, if the state goes and says you can't have them at school, then that eliminates that problem for us. But I almost feel like that might be a problem in the future, and that then they don't know how to deal with it in a work environment.
You have it. Mm-hmm.
Right? In other environments that might be similar to school, like in college. I mean, you can get kicked out of your class for using phones in college classes. So learning a little bit of over time how to use it. Now, should fourth graders be using? Probably not. Like fourth graders probably don't need phones, at least out in class, right? So I think it's difficult. And I've even had students come in and be like, my computer's not working today. And for what little bit I might need them to use to do something, they're like, can I use my phone to respond to the thing? And okay, I'm going to let you do that.
I've done that too.
Because I'll make sure that that's what they're doing. But they're just the fact that they asked, right, tells me that they're learning some responsibility. So,
and I definitely feel like it's just like you said, like kind of one of those things where we haven't put the parameters on it and we didn't do it early on. So if it was a situation was like, hey, you can have, if everybody started at the same level, hey, you can have your phone during passing periods. Once it's class time, all phone, no matter what. If we started with that, I feel like it would have been easy to kind of police this whole thing. But because there was an actual rule set on when you really can have your phone and when you can't have your phone, that's just always going to be an issue going forward until, like you said, there's a ban, but with that ban, there comes another consequence.
But if you apply this to past history, right, like cars were invented and we didn't have a road structure, we didn't have seatbelts, we didn't have speed limits, we didn't have, we had ruts in the road, people were driving on all over the place, didn't matter which side, running into each other, doing all the things, like it was crazy. And then, more and more cars and more people. And then finally it was like, oh, we need to have some laws, right? We need to have some norms about cars and training and, all those things. And I think that this is just another one of those things. And in 100 years, I think we'll probably be a lot better at this.
Well, you bring that up. And in one of the articles I was exploring, there's a guy, his name is Dr. Kenneth S. Trump. I don't think he's in relation to the president. But he is the president of the National School Safety and Security Services. And he was saying exactly what you're saying, that there needs to be a delicate balance between having, in school, having and enforcing reasonable rules without creating an unenforceable mandate. And, I agree with what you're saying. From the moment the bell rings to start a class to the moment the bell rings to end a class, cell phones are non-existent. I have a policy in my classroom that if you're going to run to the restroom, you turn in your phone to get the bathroom pass. And when I get my bathroom pass, you can have your cell phone. But yet, because that speeds up, believe it or not, kids going to and from the bathroom.
It speeds me up, I can tell you that.
Thank you. And it works real well. But again, you're right. Mom, I think a lot of people, we have become very impatient. And we want this information to go out to the kids. Well, when we're impatient, what are we teaching our children? That being impatient is acceptable. And if I demand as a parent, as an adult, a quick turnaround to my question, are we teaching the children that this is the expectation and therefore they need to expect a quick turnaround as well? I don't know. I don't have a lot of answers, but it just feels like you're right. We have created a lot of potential problems without, and again, all unintentional. I don't think, cell phones are fantastic. They do all kinds of great things. Right. And you start thinking about, okay, your cell phone is a phone. It's a camera. It's a video camera. It is photo storage.
Emails.
It's your computer for emails. It's your computer for looking stuff up. You can watch your YouTube videos on it. All these things that you can do. Think about how if you used to have to individually carry all the things that our cell phone can do, I'd need a pack mule.
Oh, if the Apollo program could have had our cell phone, we could have gone to Mars. But, I just think that I'm trying to think back to, the anxiety, the mental health issues that we associate with phone. Like I've read a couple of books. One of them was The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Great book, but about the rewiring of children right through social media and things like that. And I just wonder, like, what you might think about the framework we've talked about the putting norms around it and kind of teaching and training and all that. Like, even though they're still going to be using social media, maybe folding into that some coping skills that, you can, we see this for adults, right? Like, you don't have to stop and comment on that thing that you're so ticked about.
Yeah.
You can just scroll on, right? Like, it doesn't mean anything in your life, really.
And one of the things that I feel is kind of big with kids is them understanding that aspect. Like, you don't, and I'm not saying like you don't have to let this affect you, but in the grand scheme of things, you don't have to give this your attention. What kids haven't really realized is, this is getting a little bit deeper into like the whole social media aspect is like the algorithm. So like if you're spending more than 2 seconds on a post, they're going to send you more related posts that are dealing with those types of things. So also being conscious of, hey, what I'm spending my time on, what am I liking? What am I commenting on? Because that's social media's job is to get you to get addicted to a specific line of thinking, to a specific line of, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. So if you're constantly seeing certain types of images, that's going to be wired in your brain, whether you're thinking that or not. And that's going to affect your mood. If I'm constantly seeing sad things over and over, I'm potentially going to be sad. If I'm seeing happy things, same thing. If I'm interested if I've never played basketball before in my life, and then I see multiple posts on basketball, hey, now I'm starting to get interested in basketball. And then even more of the algorithm, hey, I've gotten on Google and now I'm seeing basketball tickets. Now I've bought a basketball jersey. Now, X, Y, and Z. So just allowing them to know like, hey, this little 2 seconds that you have, it is affecting the next 5 minutes of what you're going to see. So having them understand that and kind of teaching that before you get into that aspect of now I'm addicted to social media, I feel like that's important for parents to also do as well, is for them to be informed. You have to be informed yourself and allowing your kids to understand like, hey, this is how this is going to affect you, whether you're 13, whether you're 8, whether you're 18, whether you're 32. All of this stuff is intertwined, and just making sure that you have as much information going forward before you're just able to release your child into the wild like that.
Yeah.
No, and that's great, because as parents, as adults, we are the role model. And so therefore, if we want to help our kids be able to use correctly and appropriately, maybe learning how to do it ourselves would be a great start.
Yeah.
I know that Rod and I teach in government, like we've talked about the algorithm with seniors in high school, and
creating an echo chamber.
They absolutely understand that there is one. Whether they understand what it's doing to them, I don't know. But I've definitely challenged students in the past and adults. If you like baseball and you just keep looking at baseball and it keeps feeding you baseball, try looking at football and see what happens, right? Because it's going to start feeding you football.
Yep.
If you're on this end of the political spectrum and that's all you see for news, then maybe just to experiment, try looking up something from the other end of the political spectrum and see what happens, right? Yeah. It'll adjust. And there's also those privacy settings that you can change, right? And kind of reset your stuff. And I found recently on one of mine that like there's a hide button. Like you can, when you get certain kinds of posts, you can be like, hide this kind of content.
Yep.
And it just won't show it to you for another 30 days.
Yeah.
Right? It'll adjust the algorithm.
And
so
with the hide button, it's funny.
It's going to come back.
And I was about to say, once you mention it, it's like, hey, we want to show you this post for like the next 30 days. And you're like, okay, cool. And then it's out of there. And then as soon as that 30 days is up, you're scrolling. Oh, what's that? And then next thing you know, it's right back in there. So, and
the other thing that I've talked about with students, and I've done this before, and I know several adults that do this yearly, is just take a break. Right? My youngest daughter got rid of all her social media, and she's been off of it for almost 2 years, and her mental health has just gotten so much better. And I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
So, and I'm almost afraid for her to go back to it. But I think you can achieve that through some coping and some lessening of how much you're looking at it.
For sure.
And just recognizing that it's trying to essentially brainwash you into certain things.
And that's the biggest thing, is getting kids and adults, I'm not excluding adults because I was the same way.
Oh, absolutely.
Is understanding that you have to get to that point to want to do it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm forcing you to do it, as soon as you're able to do it again, you're right back. So even kids that I talk to here at school that are having issues with like other kids, oh, they said this about me on social media. Okay, well, how about you just like delete the social media or block the person? Well, I don't want to do that because, for whatever reason. Okay,
because there's an addiction.
Okay, well, if you don't want to do it, then you are okay with the problem persisting. So as soon as you are okay with saying, hey, I can release this and get my sanity back, that's when you can actually start this process of getting better. But I mean, it's just like that with anything. Like if you want to, work out and get healthier, then go and do that. But if you were just saying like, hey, I want to get healthier, but I don't want to do the working out part, then
that requires intentionality. I'm going to have to get up or go after work or go to the gym. That everybody pays for the gym and hardly anybody goes. So if you want to own a business, own a gym, because you can get all kinds of membership
without having to do much.
Nobody actually goes, right? So I think what I've gotten out of this is a framework again of some kind of system around when do I look at social media? When do I use my phone? When's the appropriate times? When's it not? How can I limit myself? There's some apps that you can use to do that. There's some built-in apps in both Android and Apple, right? iPhones that can limit your social media use or other app use, games, things like that. And just being intentional about what we're doing.
And consistent. I think that was something else.
Consistency. Those are important things.
Get kids to explain the why. So
I really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Coming back twice.
These 2 episodes, I've read several books on this. This has all been very informative and aligned with, a lot of the recent research I've read. And it's like other things, right? It's not that complicated. It's just we have to make the choice, like you were saying. Like you got to want to do it.
Moderation. Everything in moderation.
The rewards are great, right? My daughters realized it. I realized it by cutting back. I know I have students who have done the same and they tell other students, this has been good for me. So hopefully over the years, like this will catch on.
Just like seatbelts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You only have to go through a windshield once before you realize, I should wear that more often. So,
all right.
Well, thanks again, Cameron. We appreciate you being on here not once but twice. So
Absolutely.
thank you. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. My name is Rod.
And I'm Scott.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.